of things he said.
$600 million on Ghana Telecom sales. And I believe that Ghana Telecom sales was competitively bidded. And we saw people who applied and people who won it. And for him to sit on national studio to be saying that, with all due respect, that could force Ghana to lose $600 million, I totally disagree about it.
Okay.
This gas plant, Kufuor's government has done everything with the cost that it would cover, not more than $500 million. When you came to power, how much did you construct that plant? Over $1.2 billion. So where is this coming from?
All right, thank you.
Where is this coming from?
My producer says,
are you telling me that
can I rebut? Because
what is this?
You want to go on rebating.
And today, what is Ghana Telecom?
What is Ghana Telecom? I don't like it. Today, what is Vodafone today? Thank you.
Government is making its money.
You've made your point. Thank you.
Flagstaff House. Did we ever know how much it will cost by the time you finish? Flagstaff House.
So being fair is not necessarily giving everybody. Do you understand now? Thank you very much.
We started Flagstaff House. You couldn't even tell us how much it will cost to build it.
It says here that the 2,487 jobs created in first quarter. The Ghana Investment Promotion Council has attracted 39 newly registered investments projects into the country at an estimated value of $249.49 million between January to March, representing, let's go to the back page, representing some in the first quarter of the year. Now, the first quarter investments are expected to create a total of 2,487 jobs. Okay, the story itself is a bit all right. So by the Ghana Investment Promotion Council, okay, I'm starting with you this time around, and so I'll end with him, and I decide who gets rebuttal and who doesn't. So please go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, I think the Ghana Export Promotion Council and other state institutions that are mandated to bring foreign direct investment are working very hard to attract investment. But Ghana itself, government's own handling of these investments is what makes this investment viable. Government's own commitment to partnering the private sector to ensure that development takes place, to ensure that these organizations work efficiently, would almost always encourage others to come in. If you look at most of the things that have been done in the area of trying to create jobs for the people, the focus and the emphasis is on promoting jobs that are more sustainable because, as we said already, the national purse is overstretched. And therefore, we need to look to alternative areas of creating jobs. And this is the private sector. And that is why I am very happy that today we are talking about a sugar factory that will employ a lot of people, about 7,300 people. Today we are talking about a shoe factory that has been revived and will employ a lot of people. Today we are talking about a shea nut processing plant that has been opened at Bupe that will employ a lot of people. Today we are talking about the Savannah cement factory that has been revived that will employ a lot of people. And so we are looking at government's own effort at complementing the work within the private sector in order to ensure that these investments create sustainable long-term jobs that will relieve the pressure on the government purse. And for me, I think that a lot has still to be done in order to improve on these figures, even though these figures are looking, given the situation that we're moving into, we need to ensure that a lot more of these things are happening. And so it is about looking to the private sector and government's own engagement in employment creation activities that are long-term and sustainable.
All right. Kojo, now end with.
Well,
yes,
see,
on the figure that has been
very deceiving.
The
story, the front page said 242,000
yes.
is created. The front page said created.
Okay.
But if you read the story, it is to be created.
That's how media houses work.
That's the problem. You see, then you now find out that politicians will jump on it and now say, oh, we've created jobs. It says that to be created. GIPC, which is Ghana Investment Promotion Council, have had companies that have come into Ghana, shown intentions, and registered with the Ghana Investment Promotion Council. So with that, these companies are now going to now put the company in place, then employ the people. So to put a story out there that 2,000, looking at the situation that we are in the country, don't do that. Okay, the media should not do that because these jobs are not created. It's to be created. So let's clear that. Moving forward, it's good news when jobs are to be created because there's no jobs. Recently, we heard statistics where when there was only 30 openings, 5,000 people showed
Applied,
up.
yeah.
When there were only two openings, 5,000 people show up. Because if you look at the unemployment in Ghana, and there's no data.
Okay.
And that is the fundamental bit. We need to have data to correlate all the people unemployed, so that when people are putting around jobs created, jobs to be created, and people employed and people not employed, then we can also be fair to the populace and educate them that, look, within this period, these were the number of people that we had as unemployed. These are the people that have been employed, supported by data. Okay. But as we stand, there's no data. People just bound figures around and get away with it.
Okay, but I mean, even going beyond the headline and what it says, when you hear such news, it must be comforting for persons, especially who are searching for jobs.
It is comforting, but one of the things that I think immigration and GIPC, there's a quota system that most of these jobs, they give certain small quota to foreign nationals coming in. Yeah. Okay, immigration and GPIC should be very hard on this quota, because most of it, especially in the oil and gas sector, sure, a lot of these jobs are handled by foreign nationals. And they'll give you all sorts of examples. There are people with political manipulations are able to bring in all sorts of foreign nationals into the country. And you don't know why. When there are Ghanaians in the country can do similar jobs. So okay, it is good news, but then the institutions should work to make sure that those jobs go to Ghanaians. Okay.
Mr. Titus Love, I think for you, I mean, for GIPC to say, you know, first quarter, these are number of jobs expected to create. When we are even in June, it comes out as a bit late.
The Bible says that the devil finds work for the idle hands. Therefore, if a young man or woman and you cannot find jobs to do, it's very disturbing. To facilitate access for them to get jobs to do. Mm-hmm. So for the GIPC to say that they are going to create about 2,001 something, it's a good news. But you see, the government policies is not encouraging enough to attract more people to create the jobs. And why did I say this? In the State of the Nation address, in the budget that was read to us, looking at the trade and industry perspective, you could see that government is not doing enough to really guarantee that people can have jobs to do. The private sector are supposed to have an enabling environment to allow them to absorb these youth who graduate from our schools. Today, what do we see? One, the cost of borrowing. The government is competing with this private sector in the local banks to the extent of even increasing the cost of borrowing. When you do that, you don't make your country attractive. Number two, look at these energy tariffs. Last 2 weeks, the Association of Ghana Industry have to engage the utility companies and PURC in a conference to tell them that, look, you are killing our business. Government has slapped taxes, special energy levy, 10%, VAT 17.5%. They have a flat rate of 7 cedis. When you add all these things, it makes your cost of production quite expensive. How can you compete? When Cote d'Ivoire is paying, industries are paying about 13 cents, and you are paying about 32, 35 cents per kilowatt. How do you make yourself attractive and competitive to produce? Because if the private sector are not supporting government to enable them to absorb the army of youth on the streets, it becomes a national security matter. Okay. So for me, they can come and slap, the GIPC can tell us that they are doing so well. But practically on the ground, there is a lot of job that the youth are looking for. You understand? And what is government doing? Some may argue that it is not only the white-collar jobs. The creative work in itself. What is government doing in vocational skill? You go to most of these vocational centers, they are all destroyed. Afenia Youth Leadership. When I was an active footballer, way back in 1992-93, that was our camp, Afenia United. But this center was created to develop skill, to people to have their handwork. It is not only about white-collar jobs. What is the government doing? Okay. Nothing. So seriously, I think that they should stop deceiving us. We want jobs for the youth. Over the weekend, Dr. Baumia was in my constituency, the 3 constituencies.
Unfortunately, your time is up.
You understand? Yeah. So there's a lot that this government can do. They have lost it.
Thank you. Thank you. Are we tackling it the wrong way,
yes,
Kojo?
We are.
How so?
Because, you see, it demands commitment, okay? Commitment to do good, commitment to provide jobs for the people, not just a political slogan, not just a propaganda speech, but a real commitment from the government. And you see, when you ask most politicians about jobs, they will try to point to construction work and all these things. I think we are fixated on temporary work. If you, let's say you build an overhead, okay, let's say the Kaswa overpass that's being built, will create jobs within 12 months or 18 months while the construction is going on. Yes, it is jobs for that period, but afterwards, then what? I think Ghanaians will deserve better. They should concentrate in giving long-term employment. Those are what, because today, if you create, let's say, 1,000 jobs for 12 months, after 12 months, those 1,000 people are unemployed. They have to go and look for another job. So I think the focus for government in terms of all this construction work that they put out there, and politicians say, oh, we created this amount of jobs because we did this, it is not long-term employment. The person is employed within a year, within 16 months or 18 months, the person is unemployed again because the contract is finished. We should concentrate in providing long-term sustainable jobs for the youth.
Yeah, but that's, like you're saying, if it's a contract, for instance, at every point in time. I mean, I think last week the U.S. published its unemployment rate, and it was hovering around 4.7, and it goes, up 5 and 4 point, because sometimes you have, like you're saying, just temporary jobs.
Well, yeah, but they give you, if you look into the figure of the U.S. that they publish, they have part-time work or temporary work and full-time work. It breaks it down.
Sure.
So they know which people will fall out of jobs within, because they have those figures. Like I said earlier, we don't have those figures. We just band numbers around, and we don't really have the figures to support it. Okay.
All right. Abongo, for you as well.
Yeah. Yes,
how else? Do you think it's becoming a tool where governments just go around? I mean, I'm not referring to your government in particular, but as in politicians make it a point, to just throw figures out, to point to things, and it ends there. And that's why we're not really committed to tackling it from the root.
Yes, I think there is a lot that could be done. I mean, we all are aware of some 2 million Ghanaian youth who were registered and were promised jobs that never happened. Okay. We remember in 2001, I registered. I'm still here waiting for that job. So we know that. I mean, some 2 million, they have to wait till 2007 for the president to put it in his budget, that a farmer wrote to him to tell him that there was unemployment. And as a listening government, Kufuor was now going to do something and created a youth employment agency. So if he had lost in 2004, that data of 2 million in 2001 would have been useless. But let's put it in perspective. The African Development Bank reports that the youth between the ages of 15 and 24, about 200 million of them are unemployed. And annually, we are adding 12 million annually to this figure.
Yeah, I think South Africa stands at 24–25%.
Yes.
Yeah.
And currently, we are only delivering a quarter of what comes out every year. Okay. A quarter. So 12 million comes out, we deliver only a quarter of that. And yet there's already 200 million. So we are having an accumulation on an annual basis. That is how gloomy the picture is across Africa. So let us not be deceiving ourselves. The other issue about vocational and technical education is very key. And he knows that he approved a project which is currently running that is retooling and developing the technical institutes. Go to Adana Technical Institute today and see the massive work that is going on to upgrade it and to provide training for our youth. He's also aware that CODVET, he approved a CODVET project, which is trying to bring skills to the youth. And so to say that the government is doing nothing means that you have forgotten even the bills, some of the projects that you have approved that are ongoing, that you are supposed to have oversight responsibility and look at what is going on. And so don't let us politicize things and say government has done nothing when you know for a fact that something is happening. Okay. And that is my challenge.
All right. Thank you. Also, same for you about how we should tackle it, and if because of the politicization of it, having to stand here and point to that and say to that, my government did this, his government did that, your government did that, and so as I mean, we're losing track of where we should tackle the problem from.
It's about being a visionary. You must have the vision and how people can buy into your vision to create the jobs.
Unemployment vision.
Yes, as a leader, for example, look at agriculture. Agriculture employs about 55 to 60%.
Yeah.
Today, our old men are phasing out. We are not making agriculture attractive. When they ask you are from Secondary.
Yes.
If your people there, those even cannot even have opportunity to even to go to farm. And if you're able to develop agriculture, you know the number of people it's going to employ. You go to the Accra Plains, look at that. All the water that is going, the drain to the sea. We can create jobs out of that.
Okay.
And you can take 8 years. Convect is working. Adult Training College is being expanded. I agree with you. 8 years. The existence one, what are we saying? Even when you do that, how to support these graduates? If you have
it's not only Adam. The project is bigger than that.
Yes, he was correct.
Thank you,
Mr. Adam.
Even when you finish training them, what is the startups? How are you helping them to go to the market and start getting jobs? They are not even there. So you must have a leader who is visionary, who can move you along. And that is the angle I'm coming from.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Taxes Gulliver. We're moving on to
I've lost
another.
my voice, so
Really?
you should forgive me.
Yeah, trust me, you sound great. Thank you. We'll have to move on now to also to the Ghanaian Times, and it says here that it has the picture of the Minister for Education, Professor Nana Jane Opoku, here, and says that no imposition of utility bills, and that story is on page 16 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper, and it has to do with the students. And it says here that, you know, the Minister for Education, Professor Nana Jane Opoku has stated that the government has no desire to impose a decision concerning the payment of utility bills by tertiary institutions. The solution to the problem would come through the dispassionate discussions and consensus by the Utilities Task Force set up by the ministry, comprising representatives from student unions, authorities of the tertiary institutions, and the utilities agencies. I'm starting with you. Now, is this something, I mean, shouldn't we really be looking, if government cannot support the students, shouldn't we be honest with them and tell them that, look, we can no longer support you, and so face the fact? Or we're just, again, playing with it?
And I cannot will tell you why. Why?
What is that? I don't understand.
He's running away. Because the recrimination on these utility tariffs on our people has become so unbearable. So government in itself is struggling to defend the indefensible. Now they want to put the blame on ECG meters, that the meters that they went and procured is bad. But the question is, who ordered for those meters? There has been agitation for university campuses, if you recall, some months back, that they will not allow themselves to pay these electricity, high electricity bills on campuses. There have been serious agitation by students. I'm sure that is why, looking at what has happened recently, the Minister for Education has come back to say government is not ready to surcharge or pass any bills on the students. We'll leave that for the students to decide. I'm not in government, they are in government. So if that is what they are telling the students are listening. Whether it's a political message that they just want to use so that after elections, whatever, we don't even know. Sometimes the NDC, you can't even trust them. So I can say that she's been careful about the choice of words that she's using, okay, just to get the favor of the students. But the question is, for all these while the students have been paying, and they have been crying, their parents have been struggling, giving them monies to take care of their upkeep on campus. So for who is going to pay, refund all those monies to them? So now if the Minister of Education said that, oh, no imposition of utility bills on students, we will just be on the touchline and watch. But what we are saying is that they must reduce the taxes on the utilities, okay, because it's becoming too unbearable. Okay. It's becoming unproductive.
All right.
If they don't do it, another comes, will reduce it.
Okay, thank you. Kojo, for you as well, what do you think about, where we are now, where government says, okay, we're engaging student unions, tertiary institutions to look at this issue? Is it a case that, government has gone to a point where they know they cannot? I mean, it's obvious government can't continue to bear the cost of these things, and they're not being honest with them or something.
Yes, it's a two-edged sword, okay? Government can't afford to pay these bills. We all know that, because government can't afford to pay anything, let alone pay bills for students, universities and secondary schools and whatnot. Now, the government's decision to say that, okay, we are not going to impose utility bills on the students, but hold on, we are going to have a discussion with student union and all PTA and all bodies involved to find a solution. What's the solution? You can't afford it. So what is the solution you're going to find? Somebody has to pay those bills. So the issue is that, look, you have to bite the bullet. Biting the bullet means that it doesn't matter when it is. Election year, post-election year, whatever, government to make the right decision. Look, I find it sad when we try to massage a scenario, put whipped cream and cherry on top. You can't afford it. That's the first time you're going to negotiation. So if you can't afford it and you're going to discussion, what you're going to discuss is the modalities. How much are you going to pay and how much maybe we can pay? But the students paying for these things is a foregone conclusion. Okay. Let's not miss words. I believe strongly that universities like Legon and other universities are bulk customers. They don't get charged the same rate. Bulk customers, they negotiate their own rates. Sure. Now, Legon, I'll give an example. There are other institutions in Legon that pays electricity bill to the Legon authority. Sure. Okay. Now they keep that money and now owe ECG. Why? Yeah. Why don't they collect the money from the banks and all the institutions on campus that they supply electricity to, and then pay that money at least to ECG, so ECG will have some of the money? But you realize that they collect those monies and keep it. Then they owe ECG for what? And they say government.
So they use the students because the students get agitated. So because when, for instance, I remember was it K Poly that was had the electricity. What is it called? The ECG had to cut power supply to that, and the students were agitated. Obviously, the starts academic work.
Student usage of electricity on campus is only a fraction of the work of the university. Students on the campus of schools, apart from secondary schools, tertiary institutions, they do research. They do private work on campus. So obviously they generate some sort of money in campus. So they should be able to use some of those monies to pay. Secondly, some tertiary institutions charge foreign fees for people coming from abroad to study in this country.
Even why can't they?
Legon and all the tertiary, they charge Nigerians and Congo, Gabon, people coming to Ghana because our education is so great. Why can't they use some of that money to pay electricity bills that the Ghanaians who can't afford pay? Government just likes to massage, finally put itself in problem, and then it stares in the face. And being election year, you can expect all sorts.
Yeah, but could you didn't actually get to answer the last bit about the question where, yes, the students are also end users of electricity. Right. So when they are not getting the power, when you cut their power, it distorts academic work and all that. But the students cannot get electricity, and so they agitate. That's why I'm asking if they are being manipulated as well to be in that position.
Well, the electricity that students use, one bulb, one fan, how much is that?
Yeah.
It's nothing. So my point is that students should not be put in that position.
Okay.
The universities, there are hostels that have ACs, DSTVs, and they are made to pay for it. They have prepaid meters on those hostels. So really and truly, the bulk of the electricity consumption on campuses is with staff. Okay. Staff residencies that have air conditioning.
But there's a student who agitates and demonstrates.
Well, that's the
fact. That's what I'm saying.
Because they shift the blame to make it look like it's students. But student dormitories, we all went to secondary school and went to what's the dormitory? Yeah. One fluorescent tube and one light and one fan. What is there? How much is that? So it is not the students who are supposed to bear the grant. It is the staff with their residency on campus, which is part of the school anyway. Right. But my point is that we shouldn't use the students as a bargaining tool to now shift it to students. They are not the ones to pay. Right. If staff are using it, they should pay.
All right. I mean, same point for you about, where students are, because I have seen severally. There was press conference in Kumasi, I know of UCC and many others, where students hold press conferences and say that, we're tired, we can't, baby, we don't have light. But ask Kojo make it really clearly that they just are a fraction of it. And the light actually is consumed by, those who are doing their private businesses, those staff, and they don't want to pay. And we put the blame, we put everything on the students.
Well, I don't perfectly agree with what he just said. Is a discussion on tertiary schools or on secondary schools?
All of them.
I think it's on tertiary schools.
On tertiary, but it doesn't mean we can't draw examples. Because when I was in secondary school, I was paying light bill.
What I'm saying is that I want us to focus this discussion. And I'm saying that this is on tertiary schools.
Yes.
Okay. And if anyone tells you that in tertiary schools we are dealing with bulbs and fans, I'll be very surprised. I will be extremely surprised that in a tertiary school, in my hall, okay, and in my room where I studied in Legon Hall,
the microwave.
We were not using fans and bulbs alone.
Now who caused
and so let me come to a point. I'm just trying to say that we need to put that in perspective.
Okay.
I'm not asking who is causing it. Who is asking somebody to use a fridge or a deep freezer or something?
Okay.
In it. Governments have always owed. Haven't governments always owed?
I'm not saying you owe. I'm not saying you owe. What I'm saying is that
I have to move on.
No, that we don't have
Ghana Water Company Limited introduces new billing and payment system. And I read the story and I was a bit baffled. I don't know if you...
Which one?
The Ghana Water Company, it's great. Now you're going to be using card, buy recharge cards and all of that. But I mean, just so let me situate the conversation a bit and then we'll move on for how that will necessarily, how will that improve efficiency, make it a lot easier for everybody to have access to it. Let me just read that to you. It says, the Ghana Water Company Limited has commenced the piloting of a new billing and payment system within the Tema region. The areas include all the communities in Tema, Bong, Ashaiman, Spinksas, and so Mr. Stanley Mart, the head of public relations and communications of GWCL, explained that the move is to make billing and payment convenient for customers. Now, let me just get to where they talk about. It says with effect, with effect from June 1, 2016, GWCL meter readers will be capturing customer consumption data with a handheld Android device equipped with a software which already has customers' data. Is this complicated for you? I mean, even listening to it, that you have an Android, there's a card, and then there's one that talks about, where you use even a card to go and buy a recharge card and put on your thing. Looking at what is happening with ECG prepaid meters.
Fortunately or unfortunately, starting from Tema.
Tema.
Yeah, your area.
So we will bear the brunt of these machines. Already we have the ECG experience.
Yeah.
Where these meters are running like Usain Bolt, courtesy Kwesi Pratt. So if they are saying that they are coming out with mode of payment, where it will be convenient for people. For example, where I live in Community 20, we'll go close to Community 19, where they have a container. You go and pay your bills there, and they use electronic, system of paying, which I see as normal. So in doing so, we'll see how best people or residents are going to avail themselves in the payment of their bills. Of course, when you consume water, you need to pay. So if it's going to be convenient, where you're not going to walk for a long distance, because sometimes the proximity of the office is also important, where people can just walk in to go and pay your bills. Where in UK, where I studied, you can just walk into one of the shops. They have big devices, everything. You go and pay, and off you go, and all that. But the question is that you cannot be paying your bills whilst the ECG or the water company also looking at sometimes the defects or sometimes the kind of work that they do. You drive on the motorway, and when you get to under bridge, you see a whole water gushing out for days. And you see Ghana Water Company drivers and staff flying on the motorway almost virtually every day. And you see this water coming out, yet they'll pass on the cost of this water that has been spilled out on the people. On this road towards Circle, before you get to Total, there's a construction going on the building right there for about a week or two. I don't know, during the construction of the drain, whatever, and the water has been coming out almost every day. It was recently that they put a stop to it. So yes, we are ever ready. Tema will be willing to pay our bills, but the quality of the service they give to us. Now, sometimes water does not even flow at all. Community 4, Community 7, Community 8, Community 9. I need 11 and 12. You don't have water flowing into your tanks. You go to Adentang in certain parts of Medina. You go to Domiko Abinia areas. So those water is not flowing. So we look at some of these things in as much as you are bringing new ways of paying bills. What you're also expected to do, don't also renege on that to make sure that we all complement each other.
Thank you very much. Now, it says here that, the data comprises, customer's name, your phone number, your last captured consumption data, your customer's geographical location, and other relevant information. This should give us some hope. And it says that it automatically calculates what you consume and send it to you via text. So give them 2 reliable phone numbers.
No, but my sister, you see, we are trying to be more Catholic than the Pope. I always keep saying this thing. Look, let's do what work. We are Ghana. I can cite various examples of things that have started in good faith and have not worked. This, see, my brother did not even catch the story. This is not about paying bills. This is about reading your meter. Now, to be able to transmit, they are saying that somebody is going to walk around the neighborhood and not having to physically inspect a meter, can capture a software on a phone that can capture data from a meter. It means 2 things. It means that the meter has to have a transmitter, which is battery powered, okay? Then goes into my phone. What do I have to do if the battery dies? This is a country where people don't have a meter. Households having water every day do not have a meter.
So they are still going to tax the few
you
who are
will
paying.
not concentrate on if the battery dies in that meter, it cannot transmit to the Android or whatever gadget you have. And if I am devious, all I have to do is remove the battery in this thing, and you don't get the water I'm using. So my point is that let's go back. Many people unemployed. Let's not. You see, this Ghana where we have abundance of human resource.
Yeah.
Okay. Today, you can employ 10,000 people to go around every community to check meters in the country, and you pay them a commission on what they recover.
Because you're losing more.
Because you're losing more. So why bring this? It's as if that we don't have people to employ, so we are trying to find ways to do work that we can't get people to do. There are people out there that if today Ghana Water says they're employing 10,000 people to go around Adenta. Adenta is a place where a lot of houses Adenta are not metered.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have water for so long, when the new water came, they are not metered. So why can't you employ people, let them now work on commission? If you're able to recover X amount, you make a commission on X amount.
Okay.
Then people can now go. But this is when everybody is metered. We live in a situation where modalities are right. Then you can bring in some of these fancy gadgets. Somebody has gone to convince them. He's making his chobo on the side. Then they've now.
Please don't steal Michael Quay's line, chobo. Thank you very much. But you know, you're not actually. He was also on the money, right? Because it's also for bills. You will receive your bills via text message. You will know how much you consume via text message, and they will have authorized vendors, designated points within the communities for you to pay once you receive the text message for you to pay. Are you hopeful, or as what's the word? the despondency in what she said, are you hopeful that this would work? But with a history, even currently as it stands, there are many more people who are still on postpaid than on prepaid meters.
Not even have meter at all.
No, and those who don't have meter at all.
We are confusing the issues. And
I'm
I'm a bit worried.
How so?
You see, we are simply saying that we should stay with the status quo because it won't work. And yet, let me finish.
No, let me correct you before you finish. No, please, let me. Yes. Let's make the current one, let it work.
Yes. And
before you change something.
Have you studied the operational strategy of Ghana Water Company? You haven't. Do you know how many people are in Adenta every day installing meters? I live in Adenta.
Okay.
He just said that water is not flowing in Adenta. I have not bought water for 2 years. I've not brought a tanker to my house for 2 years. Okay. And he is saying that there's no water in Adenta and he doesn't live there. So I am just simply saying that Ghana Water Company operationally is doing a lot of things that you need to ask and to get the information. So the fact that you are speculating that they are probably not doing anything is informing your discussion on other strategies that they are trying to use to deal with other challenges.
Okay.
Ghana Water Company's challenges are several. One is to get water to people. Two is to address the problem of wastage and leakages, as he mentioned. Three is to ensure that the people are metered. And four is to ensure that you get the revenue when the people have consumed the water. And so these must be dealt with individually. So if one section, which is to get the revenue when people have used the water, is being piloted, and we speak as if the work of Ghana Water is now reduced to just this, and we are not investigating the work that they are already doing on the ground to address some of the challenges. Of course, they can't address them overnight. So I live in Adenta, and I know since the water started flowing that they are moving from house. In fact, there are some houses today that they have disconnected. And
but Mr. Adongo, I can assure you, I just about a year ago, just one moment,
yes, so
a year ago,
yes.
I lived in a place in Abilingbe. That house doesn't have meter, as I speak to you.
I agree, that's what I'm saying. So those challenges are there, and they are being addressed on an ongoing basis.
But which one do you think is more important? Which one do you think is more important? To go after?
It is not as if they are not doing both. They are doing both,
okay.
But the scale, the scale and the speed is what we should be addressing. But don't let it look as if they are doing one to the total exclusion of the other. Okay, they are doing both, but the scale and the speed
without
is what we should be
Mr. Unfortunately, we ran out of just quick one, 15 seconds. That even without looking at what the strategy is, and sometimes you don't even need to read a strategy to know whether a company is doing well or not, because the wastage is there. You can see it every day. So, but in your view, you think that it's a good move for the Ghana Water Company to be introducing this now? And, is this what will curb their revenue losses?
It is part their revenue losses. If they are able to bill properly and receive payment on time, and they are able to link that to making sure that people are metered and the leakages are addressed, then they'll be moving towards ensuring that they are sustainable. Right. And so they must look at all of the angles and work on it.
But you know that means that changing the analog... Quickly, you know that means that changing the analog meters to digital meters. Do you know that?
Have you seen the specification of the strategy?
You
haven't even seen the strategy.
Have you read the discussion?
Have you seen the system? Have you seen the system?
The meter in my house cannot transmit. The meter in my house cannot transmit.
Have you seen the system?
No, even before that.
You have not seen the system.
They've done a GPS monitored system.
My point is the meters, the already existing meters cannot do this.
You are interrogating a system you have no knowledge about. You don't even know it.
You're not getting my point. My point is that the existing meters cannot do what you are saying. So it means that you're going to change existing meters when people don't have meters.
And I'm saying that you don't even know the system.
Just a moment.
You haven't even seen the system.
But you're saying it's a pilot.
What they're piloting, you haven't even seen it.
It's a pilot.
You haven't seen it.
It's a pilot, and then they are doing it in Tema. They have a GPS that is monitoring it. So let's see how Tema goes. I mean, if it's
only on
Tema,
digital
they will spread it
all
across the country.
So you see, he's making us to be. Listen.
The existing meters are not supposed to.
Have you seen the pilot? Have you seen the